So the Chicago Bears got to work making a move this offseason? No. Not the one you're thinking about. Not the one you're fiending for. Like you want it like it's some meth. You're like, cook them rocks. Cook it. Not that move. At least not now. Work doing other things. The big news of the day yesterday, of course, was that the Chicago Bears had given a new contract to place kicker Cairo Santos. Yeah. That's the move that all of you wanted to see happen, right? That's the move all of you couldn't wait for bated breath for it to actually go down, huh? I get it. You're sitting there looking at this and you're saying, why the hell are they prioritizing re-signing a kicker? Why are you sitting there and giving big money to a kicker that had one really good, great year last year, but in his previous time in the league has been cut like 4 or 5 damn times, never really stuck anywhere for any length or period of time? Did you learn nothing from the Parkey situation? Why are you tying up any guaranteed money into a kicker when you didn't necessarily need to? And oh, by the way, your team is over the salary cap, and all of that makes absolutely perfect sense. Like, why would this be the biggest priority? Why would you feel the need that you have to get this done? Why would you feel the need to tie up big money for several years into a kicker who's only been like really truly competent NFL level one season, one time? Seems kind of risky. But Bears fans, let's get our level heads here just a little bit. Because a couple of things. Number one, we're talking about a kicker. And we know how it's been in recent years with the Chicago Bears and kind of the cycle that they've been with that kicking position ever since they let Robbie Gould go. Like, some of you believe that the Bears were a Super Bowl team if Cody Parkey would have stopped hitting uprights in that 2018 season. And maybe you're right. Probably not, because you forget you had Trubisky the turd at quarterback. But they had a better chance if they would have had a competent kicker that would have actually made some damn kicks in clutch spots. Certainly. Do you really want to take any chances at that position of all positions that's not quarterback? Like, you've seen what the kicking position has done to this team over the years when they haven't had somebody like a Robbie Gould. I can even go back into the days, God, when they had that cycle of kickers at the beginning of Duran's days and the end of Wanstead's days. Who all the hell did we have? Remember they cut Kevin Butler to go to Carlos Huerta? How'd that work out? God, who else am I forgetting? Oh, Jeff Yeager. Oh, God. Chris Boniol. Remember Bonehead? He fucking bounced everything off the uprights. He got a couple of solid years out of Edinger, but, I mean, come on, man. Like, Kevin Butler wasn't walking through that door, and Robbie Gould ain't walking through that door. Like, so, if this team got a great season out of Cairo Santos, and they certainly did in 2020, you could understand why they wouldn't want to rock the boat too much and potentially want to retain him. Number two, we're talking about a damn kicker here. So even when you talk about his contract being big money, the money involved in this contract in no way, shape, or form is restrictive or preventative from the Chicago Bears doing anything. And if it is, we've got much bigger problems to discuss and talk through and deal with. You're talking about a contract that its initial label was that it was a 5-year, $16 million contract with a max value of $17.5 million. Even if you take that at its absolute face value and assume that's 100% real, which it's not, because we're talking about NFL contracts, so we know at least 50% of it's fugazi bullshit anyways. You're talking about $3.5 million a year for one position. When your salary cap's $185, $190 million this year, future years is $200+ million. Like, come on. Are we really trying to analyze this shit with that much of a fine-tooth comb? The team's already over the salary cap. They've got time to get under it. Do you really want to do that at the expense of your special teams? No, probably not. And again, this contract is not restrictive of anything. It doesn't put them significantly more over the cap than they already were. If they're 20-something million over the cap, they're still going to be 20-something million over the cap. If they're 10 million over the cap, they're going to be a little more than 10 million over the cap. So what the fuck's the difference here? I swear to God, we're going to react to every single insignificant or smaller signing and make it out to be the biggest deal in the world. I don't know. It feels like maybe Bears fans over the past couple of weeks have just been like this bubbling, festering pussball waiting to burst as they finally find out the Bears have acquired some type of quarterback, or there's the Sean Watson or the Carson Wentzes or the Derek Carrs or the Russell Wilsons or, you know, inevitably the Sam Darnold or whoever the hell else it might be. And you guys have been waiting to pounce on anything, and you're like, this is not the news we expected to hear. This is not the news we wanted to hear. Well, it's not always going to work out that way. And then for those of you that are talking about the contract and saying, well, they didn't learn the lesson from the Cody Parkey situation. Hey, you know what? That's valid. If they did the same type of shit here that they did with Cody Parkey and his contract, then they absolutely deserve criticism for that, because that was dumb when they did it at the time and it ended up costing them a little bit. But when you look at the details of the actual deal and all the reports that you've seen about it, it's realistically the last 2 years of Santos' contract are voidable, so it's really a 3-year deal worth $9 million. Maximum value of $11 million. Look, if this guy, talking about Cairo Santos, is a top 5 or 10 kicker in the league 2 of the next 3 years, do you give a shit how much you're paying him? Fuck no! You'd be glad to do it, wouldn't you, Bears fans? And when you look at the terms and you look at what they're talking about here in terms of this deal, they did learn from the Cody Parkey situation. They did structure this deal better. So there's really nothing to complain about. Now, if your thought process is, hey, I'm worried about potential regression here for Cairo Santos. He's really had one good year, and that was last year. And, of course, it's a contract year. And you tend to shy away from those guys, and you tend to get concerned about those guys that finally figure it out when a big payday's on the line. And I will tell you, I'm with you. Like, Cairo Santos had a great year last year. He only missed 2 field goals, I think, all year. 1 extra point. Like, that was a great season for a kicker. But you don't have that consistency of performance. And I will agree with you a little bit. It feels like they're paying close to top dollar at the kicking position for a guy that has not consistently demonstrated and proven that he's top dollar talent at the position. You know, we probably would have thought a year plus ago that this would have been Eddie Pinheiro potentially getting this deal. And instead now it's Cairo Santos. Like, this to me is more of a situation where maybe Ryan Pace is looking at this and saying, hey, we got a good year out of him. We really don't want to rock the boat and take chances. We want to give this guy a chance to keep doing it because we want some stability here. I get that. I understand that. It doesn't mean you can't be concerned about it or have some thoughts about how this may potentially backfire a little bit. It may. It absolutely may. But again, I come back to the fact of there's no guarantee that anybody that you're going to bring in, either the draft, free agency, trade, whatever the hell, is going to do any better than Cairo Santos did in 2020. And there's always a very good chance that they end up doing even worse. This contract is not restrictive or prohibitive in any way from anything they need to do. It does not add any undue burden. It does not create any incentive to not cut him. Let's say he goes out there and bombs in 2021 and all of a sudden he's barely hitting 75% of his field goals. Like, you can cut him and you'll take some L, but you won't take as much of an L as you did when you talk about the Cody Parkey contract. And again, it's not going to be restrictive for what the hell you're trying to do. Like, this in no way, shape, or form impacts the Russell Wilson situation anyway. This in no way, shape, or form has any significant bearing or impact on the Bears' current salary cap plight. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they should have put more of this money towards 2022 and 2023 when the financials of the way the Bears look currently are going to be significantly kinder, because they will have people coming off of their contracts like Kyle Fuller, Akeem Hicks, etc. They're going to have cap space, assuming it doesn't get pulled in because they trade for somebody like Russell Wilson, then they go all in free agency in the trade market around him, and, you know, you leverage that future cap year. I don't see why anybody is that concerned about this. Like, it is what it is. There's no guarantee you would get better out there in the open market or the draft or free agency, trade market, anything like that. No guarantee at all. You could say, from a fundamental standpoint, like, why are you paying top money to a kicker who's not a top money kicker consistently? Fair enough. But it doesn't really matter. It was just one of those things. He had a good year and a contract year, and he got paid for it. That's the way it goes in the NFL now. If the Bears let Cairo Santos go, they would get just as much shit about letting him go as they've gotten for keeping him. So it's truly, as much as I like to blast on the Bears because they deserve it, as much as I like to question Ryan Pace on many things, again, because he deserves it, this is one that I don't. He's damned if he do, is damned if he don't. He might as well go with the stability of the do, because it's not that restrictive, it's not that problematic if for some reason Cairo Santos doesn't work out in 2021 anyways. So let's get a grip on this one. It was a good, sensible signing that a lot of you in that same spot would have looked at the landscape ultimately and probably done the same thing.